Hi. So,
Hi, Aaron.
thank you to join the podcast.
Thanks
Um,
for the invitation.
yeah, I have gone through some of your work, like your books and your films, sort of stuff. Can you speak about that, like what you do and how do you see all those, why you did all those, and sort of
Okay.
stuff? Yeah.
Well, I would say I'm a human first. I am a mother of 4 adult children and a grandmother of 2 young girls. And I'm also a writer and storyteller, which I started when I was very young. I was always writing poems when I was a little girl and taking my dad's camera and making my friends dress up as like cavemen and then adding the soundtrack. And I ended up going into documentary filmmaking. And the films kind of always found me, but my first 3 films were about the 1950s. And it's interesting. I was making stories about other people, but there seemed to be a theme in each film that was speaking to my life, like it was answering a question in my own life. 2 of the films were about overcoming, not overcoming, but having an accomplishment in spite of, in this case, racism, which is not my problem as a white woman. But I was close to the films because my dad was best friends of this basketball coach that coached the first all-black team. So my work has been a lot of anti-racism work. But the other thing that happened with my films 20 years ago is that I was told films with, Black stories don't sell. And it didn't occur to me when I was making it. I thought this is an important story. It's been forgotten. And so I made it. And so my films got good reviews, but not much attention. In some way, that was a gift because I would have imagined myself, living in Hollywood now, being a successful producer. And instead, I started doing this healing work around my body, of in my mid 40s, having these memories of that were suppressed, of experiencing abuse when I was younger against my body, not feeling safe in my body. And so quietly, I started doing this work around healing my body to see if it was possible for me to feel anything after feeling nothing at all, and kind of smiling and faking it through life. And that became a book called Autobiography of an Orgasm. And similar to the very popular book Autobiography of a Yogi. So it was really my spiritual journey to not just reclaim my orgasm, to see if it was possible, but to reclaim feeling good in my body. And I expected to quietly release that book, and what happened was people from all over the world wrote to me and said, thank you very much. Something like that happened to me too, and I've never spoke up. I thought I was the only woman in the world faking orgasms, and all of a sudden both men and women were writing to me. And so I realized the problem wasn't me. It was living in a culture and a world that wasn't having these conversations. And, why don't we feel safe in our bodies? And why don't we feel comfortable speaking up and telling the truth about ourselves, even if it's an uncomfortable, conversation? And that turned into me also helping other, especially women, write their stories. And now I do the one thing that I'm always going for, the thing that like scares me, because it scared me to speak up and tell the truth about my, central path. And it also scares me to get on stage and speak out loud. So now I do solo shows, telling my stories, on stage, which actually reaches more people because not everybody reads books these days. So that's where I am right now. You can tell me the rest of my life and what's going to happen.
So the thing is like when I read about, I mean, I didn't read your book. When I saw your book in internet, it's like Autobiography of an Orgasm. Yeah, the same feeling like when the yogis get into meditation, it's also orgasm. it's
Mhm.
it happens in another dimension. Through body also we can experience the same. And this is something which caught my attention, and I thought of writing to you. How do you speak about that? And when I started this podcast, also almost 2 to 3 months back, I started my podcasting things about the sex, orgasm, and how the women feel about their body and sort of stuff. And it's a kind of still a taboo. I mean, in US also it's a taboo. You can imagine. Have you ever been in India?
Yeah. Yeah, I've been to India several times, and yeah, definitely won't be being on stage talking about it there.
So you can imagine this is like very I mean, the Kamasutra, the book is been written in India, and the film which is being made out of that book is been banned in India.
Yeah. Well,
So
it's interesting because my first trip to India, I went to Varanasi, and there are temples there with all of the positions and Kamasutra, and so it's interesting that it's taboo there, yet your history is it's there in the history, and so uh, why we are still having these really uncomfortable conversations around our body. And for me, the essence is feeling good in our body and feeling safe in our body. And so I think it's important that we have these conversations now. My mother is 87, and it still makes her really uncomfortable that I talk about this, but her friends love having me over because they're the same age, and they've stayed quiet all their life, and we need to be having these conversations about if we don't feel good and safe in our bodies, why, and and then bringing the conversation into, I wish I could find like different words for orgasm and sex, because it brings up whatever somebody wants to bring up, and can make people really uncomfortable, when it should be, as people that read my book or see my shows say, that the way I tell the story, it's like that I'm talking about like just washing my clothes or something, that it's just such a, normal part of life. And so how can we show up and have these, conversations, and we're just part of the truth of our bodies, and how our body naturally expresses itself is through orgasm.
so it's I usually use the word love making to replace the word sex actually.
Uh-huh.
um, and I wish experiencing God is can be replaced with the word orgasm. But the thing is, like, the term God is something like a cliche nowadays. Like, people are believing like there is somebody sitting on top on our head, and he's playing all the plays in our life and sort of stuff. And some other people think something other thing. But the orgasm, I didn't figure any other words which I could replace, but the word sex I can replace with the love making actually,
Yeah.
so yeah. However, I found it is orgasm is like we have Shiva Shakti concept. It's like half men and half woman. That is what the true state of uh, being natural. Like, then when the Shiva and Shakti comes together, we can experience a natural state of orgasm without touching or body contact. I have done a podcast about that with somebody from UK. She's talking about orgasm and how the orgasm has healed her cancer. She was
Mm-hmm.
talking about gem iris, and she's talking about how the orgasm and the full body orgasm has healed her cancer and sort of stuff in our other podcast. And yeah, that is something interesting that you could also hear too.
I'm looking
uh,
forward to listening to that.
yeah, it's there in my podcast list, and yeah, we can. And what is that the book is all about? What is the story of the book? Can you just?
The book, The Autobiography of an Orgasm.
Yeah.
So it's the book is not about what happened to me. The book is about me doing research and trying to see, at the time I was 45, 46, to see if it was even possible for me to have an orgasm. Because after having these memories of not feeling safe in my body when I was younger, and I literally had to go back into when was the last time I felt good in my body. I'd been married, I'd had 4 children, I was divorced, and I was trying to think, when was the last time I felt good in my body? And I just kept going back, and it came back to a memory of when I was 6. And something happened to me, but before that happened, I felt good in my body. And because I didn't speak up, there there was a disconnect there, and then years of experiencing sexual assault, a rape when I was 40. But one thing was happening. I was in intimate relationships, so I was making love and I was faking it. Because I thought my body was damaged. I thought that I was the problem. And I also lived in this world that told me I was the problem. Take Prozac, you're depressed. And nobody ever asked me, if there had been any abuse in my life. And so I quietly did this research, with just trusting wherever I was guided, from working with a jade egg, which you insert into your vagina, to working with, so-called sex experts, to taking classes on, I wanted to have, an orgasm. And one teacher said, well, what kind do you want to have? There are 70 different kinds. And I was like, I just want one. So a lot of it was just research into, like, what did I want? And so it was finally, even dance classes I took. And it was finally, the answer was with me. I was looking outside for all these experts to tell me, how my body worked. And what worked for me was just spending time every day understanding my body, not being afraid of my body. And even, if it wasn't possible for me to have one, I thought maybe it's possible for me to feel good in my body again. And it was. And then, of course, what my body just needed to feel was safe. And then it's been absolutely no problem. What I will say is, I look forward to listening to the podcast with Jen, but when we have an orgasm with a partner in a trusted relationship, that brings every cell of our body back into balance. So it balances the health of your body, having an orgasm. But once again, this is with a trusted partner, and, not including all these tricks or fantasies. It's just like getting back to the connection to self and to your body. And a trusted partner can be yourself. So you don't need to be in a relationship. I'm surprised how healthy I am now. I had sore throats from the age of 6 onward. And in the last, my book was released in 2014. I have not been sick since. And, but once again, so, beyond lovemaking, and feeling good in your body, orgasm is, a medicine, as this woman has experienced. So, but the answer was, the sex expert that I was looking for. My body was me, So that's what the book is about. And it's surprisingly, when the reviews came out about it, people were saying, reviewers were saying, oh, it's really funny. And at first I was like, well, it's about my sensual path. I took that as, not good. But then I realized I was able to tell the story in a way that pulled people in to stay with it, versus this is a story about abuse and I don't want to read it, and who wants to think about a middle-aged woman having sex. And I was able to tell the story in a just a curious way of someone going on an adventure, searching for something, just like the Wizard of Oz. But yeah, so that's what it's about.
Yeah. Um, So we will start with your nakshatras. So the thing is like you have Aries Lagna. I mean the ascendant which is in Aries, according to Vedic thing that you could see the chart na that um, you know the the chart which is a gray one that you could see.
Yeah.
In that there is first house Aries, there is the ascendant. So what does it means to you? Like it means that there will be troubles in early marriage, which means that you could have got married very early comparatively, and there could be a trouble with that early marriage may occur. And there could be a difficulty in finding a home. If you look at on your house, there will be a lot of troubles has been occurred, like you are searching for a home and it's not suiting, and another home, another home, another home. So can you
I've lived
talk?
without a home. I've lived without a home for 7 years.
Sorry.
I've lived without a home for 7 years right now.
Without a home.
It is a difficulty. Okay.
um, so that is what the Aries says, and what it is also says is like your characteristics of like you are you are a kind of very angry person. You will get angry very easily. If something happens around, you will feel like, oh, I'm like that. Then you will start fighting and sort of stuff. It will happen very easily. So that is what it is saying. Aries first house. Then your nakshatra is Ardra. Okay,
Mhm.
I'll share you my screen. Can you see? Can you see?
Yes. Yeah.
Um, so this is the nakshatra. Ardra is your nakshatra. So what does it mean? Ardra, you know what is a nakshatra is actually?
No, I would love for you to review it. I listened on the other podcast, but
Yeah, it's like nakshatra is a group of stars. You know, if you look at on the sky, there will be. I'm keep repeating this in every podcast. Like there will be a 360-degree around you, and it is actually divided into 12 house. And if you look at on the sky, the ascendant will be in a particular direction. You know that. Rectangles, which is a a big rectangle, and it is been divided into 12 equal rectangles that you could see is in a gray area. And if you look at on the ascendant will be in a particular direction. And what could be the group of stars in that particular direction is been taken as your nakshatra. So there are 27 of them, which is around this 360 degree of the circle. You know, in Western astrology, it is a circle, but here it is a rectangle. The difference is not much because it's also actually a circle, but for easier understanding, it is been shown as a rectangle. So that is what it is, and there are 27 of nakshatras are there, and one of this nakshatra is called Ardra, and Ardra is your nakshatra. Um, So you have a Shukla Pacha. Shukla Pacha means there are 5 birds which is been associated with each nakshatra, and you got birth in Shukla Pacha, which means that 0 to full moon and full moon to 0 moon. It's a circle when the moon is revolving around the earth. The mm, moon will come, and it will start to travel around the earth. And when we are observing it from the earth, it will be like there is 0 moon and there will be full moon. So the zero to full moon there will be a circle, and full moon to zero moon there will be a circle, and zero moon to full moon it is known as shukla pacha, and full moon to zero moon it is known as krishna pacha. So you got birth into shukla pacha when the zero moon to full moon, that journey. So in that particular area, or the particular this thing is been taken care by the mystical animal owl. Is not like a real animal, okay? It's a mystical animal. Like see, if we look at on ourselves also, we are also mystical beings actually. You know, the real nature of us is like almost always stoned, you know. So because of the conditioning which we are having in this thing, so we don't get into this natural state of trance. What is going on in our mind is like almost always like family problem, financial trouble, and all those stuff. So we will get very less time to experience our own true being, that is very truly mystical. So all is the mystical animal which is being taken care by shukla pacha of the ardra nakshatra. So what does it means? Like you will get attracted to um, occult kind of energies.
Mm.
um, so have you you use any kind of occult understanding in your healing process or sort of stuff?
I I've definitely my next book is called Chasing Temples,
Hmm.
and it's about me traveling both the inner and outer worlds, searching for meaning. So I would include experiences with occult in that. Yeah.
um, so this the are you comfortable talking about your next book?
Yeah.
Yeah. So it is about the temples in South Asia or Asia, or in are you gonna travel, or what is that? It's about.
Well, it's about well, it's funny because I loved your quote about enlightenment is foolish Buddhas who dance, sing, and meditate. It's as I was doing all this research around my body, I realized how much I was looking for the answers in other people, in other places, in other temples, in going to India and meeting an astrologer there in Varanasi, and working with a witch doctor in Zimbabwe and Peru, and going all these other places and searching for enlightenment, and in some dark places, and and realizing that I was living in this world that told me, um, our world makes $11 billion off of self-help right now, of telling people they need help, they need to be enlightened. And when in the end it was the enlightenment was just being with myself and realizing my body is my temple. I don't need to go to some temple in India, or and crack coconuts, or all these temples. That I got something out of everything. But I mean, enlightenment is an expensive um, uh, is expensive. Is an expensive world, and when maybe our enlightenment is just to sit with ourselves. That makes sense.
Yeah, because the thing is like values, only human beings can only understand value with the association with the price.
Mm-hmm.
The difference, there is some certain value, but people will associate it with the price. So that is the most of the problem with the
No, I
human.
completely agree because, and I also, what I found was for me, what was missing from all these conversations was the voice of the woman, the voice of the mother, both the voice of the grandmother, the voice of the earth, Mother Earth. So that was missing for me in a lot of places that I'd gone to. Even in the temples and churches, it was India is different, but in our temples and our churches, it's all men, and statues of men and portraits of men, and even Mother Mary starts to disappear from the Bible the minute she gives birth to Jesus, and so yeah, this chasing enlightenment led me back to where's the voice of the mother in all this. And it did take me to some dark places, which is good because dark places is the place of creation,
Yeah.
the womb.
Yeah, exactly. Because the Tantra, the astrology which I practice is Tantric astrology. And this is basically a part of Tantra. Tantra is basically a woman centered worshipping method. Here we see the Mother Kali as the creation, and all these things is around her only. So that is what the basically tantra is all about, and it's basically woman centered, and we see the universe as the prakriti, as the feminine, and that is the idea behind the temples of female temples in India. Like if you see, in Shiva temples they place linga, and whereas the female temple they will place yoni.
Mm-hmm.
So if you go to, there is a northeast, there is a temple which name is Kamakya temple. Inside that temple they place yoni, and
Mm-hmm.
the menses was a festival there. So basically the problem which is facing nowadays is like people are thinking that celebrating menses is a taboo.
Mm-hmm.
It's because the Christian missionaries came and disturbed a lot, hell, and they tried to impose a lot of teaching in India actually. But almost 300 to 400 years back, there everybody used to celebrate menses. I didn't find any, you know, I can't see how why it can't be celebrated.
Yes, yeah, and that still happens in the most sacred ceremonies and rituals that I've done around the world. I've been told if you're having your period, you cannot participate, and which that's another thing that's still. And it's looked at as woman being a time, it's explained as, oh, well, a woman is dirty during that time, when really
No,
it's a
it's like
woman in her fullest expression. Yeah.
it's not all the temples. I told you the Kamakya temple. It's a festival. When woman
Mm-hmm.
is having, the goddess is having menses, it is a festival in Kamakya temple. But
Mm-hmm.
whereas when we come to south, there is a temple, there is a temple, Sabrimala temple, where it was become a big issue recent time, like women need to enter into the temple. But the thing is like the deity is brahmachari, which means that he is an eternal brahmachari. He don't like the contact of the woman. So
Mm-hmm.
there naturally woman is prohibited to enter there. It's not like all the temple, like some temple there are men is not allowed.
Mm-hmm.
If we go to Kanyakumari, there is a goddess temple there, inside that there is men is not allowed. So uh, I mean, it's different. It's not about prohibiting women or men. Uh, Different ideology.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, whatever. That is what it is. Um, so, so you were a tree. So the nakshatra has been associated with one particular tree. You know, if we look deep inside on us, we when we come in contact with our true soul, and if we are able to experience the trance, we can easily relate with some plants. So the tree which in which you could communicate with this Kashmiri tree. So I'll send you the link where you can read more about that. This is the Kashmiri tree. If you go near to that, this, according to the nakshatra, your soul will be in a resonance with this particular tree. So you can easily relate with this particular tree and experience deep nature and deep connection with this particular tree. Like, we experience some kind of connection with some certain human beings, and we experience some kind of reflection with some certain people, and it will not be there in some other people. In same way, we will get connected with some certain points of nature. Like, it is not same for all the person. You will get interested in some part of the nature, but other peoples may not get interested into that particular part of the nature. It's your own being. So this particular tree is the tree which it can easily connect with you. This is how the nakshatra looks like.
Mhm.
So there are three guna: tamo guna, rajo guna, and sattva guna. From that, you have a tamo guna. Uh, the most common problem with this tamo guna people is like they tend to overthink.
Mhm.
Apart from seeing the room as it is, they tend to overthink. If you work on, if you feel like thinking a lot on a particular issue, uh, try meditating, or try breathing exercise. What it will does is like, uh, if we overthink, basically our brain is eating up all our energy.
Mhm.
Brain is the biggest consumer of all the energy which our body is producing. So what happens is like, if a brain is eating up all the energy, there will be no energies left. So you can't reflect yourself on other things much better way if you get consumed with the energy. And water is the bhuda. There are five bhudas. From that, the water is your bhuda. So what does it means? You have a watery quality. You can, if it will does like, if you fall in a communication, you can flow like water, you
Mhm.
know
Mhm.
it's like you have an art of, an art of um, talking.
Mhm. Mhm.
That's a good thing. And Shakti is the, I mean, the Durga is the goddess of you. I mean, the inner quality of you. So what does it means is like, you have immense power of creativity. So immense power of creativity is nothing but creation is actually comes out from the orgasm. So that is your birthright to experience orgasm. um, So vada nature you have. So what does it means is like, uh, if you don't keep your body parts very comfortable, it will, there could be blood can be caught in some joints and sort of stuff, and it may give you pain, and it can take out by a good massage or sort of stuff, you know. That will happen, that you have to be care of. And the deity of your nakshatra is Shiva. So your mantra is Om Namah Shivaya. So if you chant this particular mantra, you can easily experience your own true self. You can easily get connected with Shiva. So basically, the God concept is not like, you know, it's a consciousness. It's a metaphysical body which is being located in that particular area of the nakshatra. Like Ardra is located in that particular area. If we observe that particular region of the sky, the consciousness which is being found over that particular direction is the Shiva consciousness. And you understand the Shiva, right? It's a very famous.
Mhm.
If you chant the mantra Om Namah Shivaya, what happens is like your being will get awoken into
Mm.
the Shiva consciousness.
Okay.
You can easily connect to Shiva. So this is all about your nakshatra. Mm,
Can you go back to the Rudra, the Lord of Roaring?
yeah, that is Shiva.
That's Shiva. Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's basically Shiva. Um, this is basically it's all about basically.
Mhm.
So we will go to your planetary position. You have any questions about your nakshatra?
No, I don't. Thank you. It's
Yeah.
very
Okay.
enlightening.
So there are 12 houses is been present in your nakshatra. Okay. So there is first house is the Tanu. Tanu is the ascendant. That is where your self is being placed. So what does it mean? You will get aggressive about your earning. So you tend to sacrifice a lot to get your earning done. Then Sahaja Bhava, your self Bhava, Sahaja Bhava, there is moon is staying. And what does it mean? So there is Rashi chart and Bhavam chart is exactly same. There is two chart we analyze, that is one is Rashi and another one is Bhavam chart. So when we analyze these two chart, your Sagaja Bhava is moon, which means that it is like you are a very good mother. You can be moon in you. So moon is the planet which is been associated with the um, uh, motherly nature. So uh, you are you can be a good mother. So Bendhu, there is Mars and Rahu is staying. So Mars is associated with the war, and Rahu is associated with the dark energies. So the which means that you have a very um, fighting nature, narcissist kind of behavior sometimes. So this can be actually undone, you know. um, So Dendra Bhava, there is Mercury and Venus is staying. Uh, so the key, how to undone this Mars and the Rahu, the clue is staying on the Dendra house. That is Mercury and Venus is staying together, which means that the the worldly tendencies that is being more on you. I'm not saying to control it. What I am saying is to just observe it. The more you aware of that, uh, the fourth house will get accelerated more. The Mars and Rahu will get accelerated more. And in Dharma house, there is Sun, Saturn, and Ketu is staying. So hard work and your father. This two is comes. He is alive. Your father? No. Yes.
Ask me again.
Your father.
My father died when I was 25, 30.
So there is something is related to your father, which is related to some hard work kind of thing, and
Yes.
that has to be. I mean, if you believe in soul or sort of stuff,
Hmm.
so what it is, this is like you have to get something done for your father. That is,
That is a big part of this next book.
so that has to be done. It has to be taken. And karma bhava, there is Jupiter. Can you talk about, if you don't mind?
About my father?
Yeah.
Wow. So my father, he died suddenly when I was 25, so 32 years ago. My father uh, grew up in a family that lost their wealth during the Great Depression in the US, and he had to quit school and go to work to support his mother. His father was very abusive. So my father raised himself and raised his siblings. And when he met my mother and married, he was worked in grocery stores as a young boy to pay for his family, support his mother. And he made the choice to put his grocery stores in neighborhoods in our community that were predominantly they were predominantly not as wealthy communities and predominantly Black communities. And so my dad was a white man who was always very accepted by Black communities, uh, and it's interesting because right now in the US we are experiencing a lot of protests,
Yeah.
and I'm we need equality, we need a justice. I can't believe we're still having this conversation 25 years later or 50 years later, and part of my two of my films were dealing with this that I made. My father was also then appointed public safety director of where we lived. So he was in charge of the police and fire department. He was the first, he appointed the first Black police chief. So he was very much a bringing communities together. And he was a white man that the Black community knew was a friend and approved of. During as a time when he was public safety director, there was a police action shooting where a young boy in police custody died from a gunshot. So it mirrors what's happening today. And what happened, because my father was in charge of the police department, the Black community was angry. But the local Black community knew my dad, was an ally, and would do the right thing. And protesters from out of town came in and shut down my dad's stores. We went bankrupt, and he died 4 months later.
Yeah.
Yeah. So part of my work now is, and obviously I stand for equality for all. And I'm telling this story in a very sensitive time of protests going on. And so being very careful as a white woman, I'm not telling the experience of a Black person. I'm telling it from the point of view of a white woman who had experienced privilege, but also came from a background of allyship. and I'm trying to tell the story from a place of how we can value our bodies and realize that if we're not standing for the other person, we're not standing for a part of ourselves, because we're all, connected. So can we really live this? But my dad, died my dad died feeling like the community and people that he loved and supported didn't stand for him.
Yeah. In your karma bhava, there is Jupiter is staying. So karma is your job or duty. So what does it means? Jupiter is the planet which is been associated with wisdom and knowledge. So your karma is related to knowledge work and sort of stuff. So that is the thing which the chart, I mean the planetary positions on you is telling me. And when we come down, um, Venus is the most important planet in your chart. So what does it means is like you have a natural tendency for the worldly desire, so you don't have to be afraid of that. Okay, so that is your natural tendency. So the only thing what I am saying is like you have to experience it, you have to explore it, and you have to experience it, and after a stage you will figure out it is it, it doesn't matter, there is something better is existing rather than that of that. You will come into a conclusion like that. And it has I mean you don't have to be feel guilty of whatever is happened or what is going on because of your interest towards the worldly pressure, because that is the true nature of you. It is like most of the religions out there has a tendency to especially Semitic religion has a tendency to qualify this is good, this is bad, this is right, this is wrong, like that. But that is not the actual human nature, that is against human nature. Human nature is whatever we are, that is what we are. So your true planet is Venus. So that is your experience, and that is something which you are mm, you know mm, intended to you know what I mean.
Yeah.
So it's nothing to be guilty of whatever it is. 16 plus 4.5. Yeah, so now it is going on Ketur Mahadesha. So what does it means? Ketu Dharma Bhava. So this is, yeah, the Sun and Saturn along with the Ketu is staying on Dharma house, which is on ninth house, and you are in Ketur Mahadasha, which means that this particular area will get activated this time, and you have to give complete you have to give yourself into Dharma in order to get liberation. So as we have already saw, the hard work, your father, and all that is staying on the Dharma house, and that is why you are feeling like writing a book about that nowadays. Ketu is staying in that particular house along with the Dharma house. So that is what you are into right now. So you have any question?
No, this is all very interesting, and that was, I've never in any of my charts had the father come up like that as part of my karma. So it's just interesting because it's something I just added in the last month to my book. Because it kept coming up for me, and I thought, no, this is a book about the mother. This is a book about the mother, and this piece about my father came in, which helped me make sense of everything else.
So, you have any questions?
I don't. Thank you very much. It was very enlightening.
And if you feel like donating something, you could do.
I will. I will. I will. Thank you.
And
Thank you.
I'll unlock your link for the, if you make an account in my website, I
Yeah.
will put it in a paid category. I'll give it for free. Then you can browse through all this content which is being in that particular link. And Venus is having a particular Rudraksha, which is you know six phase Rudraksha. You know what is the Rudraksha means?
No.
Rudraksha is a kind of seed. It's people's believe in India. It's a tear of Shiva. In yoga, it is very important. Like if you wear that, this will get in relation with your body energy, and it will accelerate your energy on your body. And you could wear this particular Rudraksha for to get much more deeper orgasm.
Okay. My quest. Well, yeah, that's a good sell. Well, thank you so much, and I'll share this recording for anybody that wants to listen, and also your information. This has been really, I've really enjoyed it.
If somebody want to contact you, how they can do if you.
My website is Betsy B Murphy, Betsy B, and then Murphy MURPHY.com.
Okay.
And you can contact me, and I read all of my own emails. So if you're writing something personal, only I will read it.
Okay. So what are the services? Yeah, you told me like you will give healing services sort of stuff, and what are the services it is been related to? What kind of healing you provide?
Sorry, I didn't hear that last bit. Your audio was soft.
What kind of healing you give?
What kind of healing?
Yeah.
What kind of healing do I give?
I'm I'm wondering about that. You have told me like you do healing as a service, and you provide healing to people. They can.
Oh, well, I work in, I mean, everybody's a healer. But I've studied body talk and body intuitive, which is working with the body's innate wisdom. So I can do distance treatments on people. It's not something that I offer right now. It's just to family and friends, but who knows? I'm definitely heading down we'll see what's after this speaking. I love working with plant medicine. But I will say right now that where I find the most healing is with helping people to find their voice as a writer.
Mhm.
And because writing for me can be, people like detox their bodies with, juices and cleanses and yoga. And writing for me is a way to detox those old stories, old patterns, and help you make sense of your life. We're always looking for the answers outside of ourselves, and everybody has a story, but sometimes we have to get those layers of stuck bits of their story out before they can really find that beautiful story that they might want to share with others. So that's definitely my medicine. Is I work with people on the writing. Both I usually do retreats around the world, but right now, since we're on still during the pandemic, I work online.
So, can you explain the method? Like, if somebody is interested to contact you.
Yeah. So I have a book called Write On. It's daily 15-minute writing prompt that I would give, you know, you can open the book and it will say, tell about what you wanted to be when you were 8 years old. And you would just write for 15 minutes, trusting, and not trying to tell the story of like thinking it through, but just allowing intuition to guide you. And sometimes the story ends up being nothing about being, you know, 8, and it, you know, because you're just allowing your intuition to guide you. A lot of times people say, come to me and say, I have a book, but I don't, you know, can you write it? And or people tell me I should write a book and I don't know where to start. And I'm really, really good at helping people find their story, but helping them write it. I'm not going to write somebody else's story. And so I have online writing groups, and it's really incredible, the stories that come through. And usually what people think their story is not the bigger story. And we can usually find it within one of those writing prompts. So if people come to me, they might join one of my, you know, weekly writing circles, or what I tell them is get the book and just, you know, do the writing prompts for, you know, 10 days and see what comes up. So I think everybody has a story, and as important as writing them is speaking it out loud and using our voice, especially women who we haven't always felt safe speaking up, and you know, activating that throat chakra, which is also connected to our second chakra, which is all about creativity, sex, orgasm. So if you start using your voice more, you're going to have better orgasms. But when I say that, you know, it's like I say it funny, but it's also like speaking your yeah, no, but like speaking your truth more. It's true. It's good for your health, but it's also like, can we really speak the stories that maybe make our voice shake at first, but literally it is unlocking this pathway to, you know, ultimate health, wellness, and orgasms in your body. Yeah, so.
No, the thing is, like when we chant mantra, no, we sit in meditation and chant mantra in certain vibration. So actually, we are experiencing a level of orgasm, which is, you know,
Yeah,
people can experience a kind of orgasm. You are right, actually. I mean,
yeah,
it looks like funny, but it's right, actually. You can experience the orgasm through your voice.
yeah. The other thing I'll say is, you know, part of me was like, oh, I wish I hadn't started crying when, you know, I started speaking of my dad to you. But I always tell people when they are writing or reading their stories out loud to pay attention to where it hurts, and then just slow down right there. It doesn't, you know, sometimes those tears are a release of energy. But if tears do come up around your stories, then slow down and pay attention to that story. And so, you know, it's, you know, we always want to run from our tears, but it's a gift. It's saying, pay attention, pay attention. So in that respect, I'm thank you for that gift of allowing me to express and release those tears.
Thank you. So anything else you want to say?
No, I hope to meet you someday. You're in Thailand now?
I'm in India.
Oh, you're in India? What part?
Yeah. Yeah, I'm mostly in India.
Yeah, I'm definitely due to come back to India. Obviously, we can't travel right now, but I love India and made a film there. And yeah, I want to come back and go to those temples.
Yeah, you could write to me and I can give you a direction, which because I traveled most of the places in India.
Yeah.
I mean,
Well, thank
so-called.
you so much. I'll definitely share your information, and this was really helpful and insightful. So thank you.
Yeah. Yeah. Bye bye.
Okay, bye.